Hi everyone, it's Marc the Bruin from simplifyinglife.com.au. Today I want to share a piece of counselling wisdom with you. It's a bit of neuroscientific as well that can definitely help you to simplify your life, and that's what it's all about. I was reading some research recently about how our brains process information and what we do when we're under stress, and it sort of made me realise that under stress, and it's not just me saying, that's the research actually suggesting this as well, that we take in information differently. To give you an example, if we are under stress and we read some bad news, then we are more likely to start exaggerating that bad news and looking for more bad news, if that makes sense. So once our mind are in stress, are in sort of hypervigilant mode, there's a tendency for human beings and human brains to be more focused on information that confirms that negative viewpoint, that confirms that bad example or whatever we're getting. Now, that makes complete sense from a survival point of view. You know, if you are under physical threat, your brain needs to be aware of every danger cue or everything that could be, threatening your life, so you can take the appropriate action: fight, flight, freeze, or faint. But it also makes us, in our modern 21st century society, more prone to overreact. So once we're in a down mood, in a stressed mood, in a vigilant mood, we tend to look at negative information more closely than we do to positive, and that negative information has a bigger tendency to manage and sometimes even control our behavior and thinking than is really good for us. So how do you deal with that? Again, it makes sense from an evolutionary point of view, but how do you deal with that? Well, normally when we're stressed and we are more focused on this negative information coming in that affects our thinking and our behavior, we tend to start minimizing risk. We want to play it safe. We want to become conservative and a little bit careful in our behavior. Now, that makes sense as well from a survival point of view, pure survival. But often, again, in our modern society where our physical survival is not that much under threat, not as much as we think it is, what we do is trying to play it safe, is minimize risk in all sorts of other ways. We start to do things that lay low, that minimize that risk, but therefore could also lead us to missing opportunities. So the instinctive, evolutionarily accurate behavior of lying low, minimizing risk, and playing it safe could actually potentially hurt us in a situation where we would probably be better off taking some risk. Now, you don't want to be an idiot about it. It's always about that middle ground. But the realization and the awareness of the fact that if you're already under stress, if you're not feeling great, and then your brain is focused on leaning more towards taking in negative information more and seeing danger cues more and being alarmed more, that awareness can then allow you to say, well, let's do a reality check. Is this really, cognitively, prefrontal cortex stuff, so dangerous that I need to either fight, flight, freeze, or faint? Or can I take some other action, potentially some risky action in terms of that avoiding risk approach? What we're trying to do, maybe take some risk, but then alternatively coming out in a better way. So there's more than one moving part. Obviously there's loads of moving parts. I think the thing for us to remember as human beings, that if we're under stress, if we're under threat, psychologically, if we feel a bit stressed, depressed, anxious, then remember that we have a tendency to take in negative information more readily than positive information. The positive information can still come to us and we'll still process it, but there's a chance we'll process that negative information more readily. That then most likely will lead us to becoming conservative in our actions, to become risk avoidant, and to be more focused on even more negative information coming in. So we might become pessimistic, and actually overly pessimistic, and that might then lead us to overreact. So in order to counter all that, be aware of your mood, of your mental state, and see if this is actually worth the thoughts, the negative thoughts and the negative thinking that you are now spending on it. And then see what you are afraid about. Is this really as bad as it seems to be? And is there potentially other information out there that might placate your mood a little bit? If it's still apparently dangerous, or if there's still some threat level going on, then be very careful about that instinctive reacting, that instinctive behavior, that tries to lay low, minimize risk, and avoid anything that could lead to that threat becoming a reality. And start looking at, okay, what can I do that can still improve my results without being a complete idiot about it, but not giving into those natural amygdala type instincts. And I've talked about the amygdala more often, that seem to just want to make me hide or make me fight or freeze or faint. So be aware. That's always the cue for this stuff. Be aware what your mind is doing. Are you actually seeing reality in a proper way, or are you overemphasizing the negative stuff? Are you becoming a pessimist, a bit of a doomsday scenario sketcher? If so, apply some good reality checks, talk to someone, or at least look around you and see if your behavior can be influenced by something that's more useful, more effective, more optimal. If you got questions about it, there's loads more to say about this, but it's a fascinating topic, that neuroscience stuff. So if you got more questions about it, let me know. You know where to find me, email, Facebook, wherever. And I look forward to catching up with you soon. Have a good one.